Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Fearless and Free TV. Today, I'm super excited to bring on one of my new friends, a long lost soul sister, Joan of Angels. Joan and I met in person a couple of weeks ago. We were actually both part of Spirituality Gone Wild, which is, I've talked about it before, it's a spiritual co op of broadcasters. And I met Joan a few weeks ago. I went on a trip out to the desert. I live in Redondo Beach, California, and she lives to me, the desert is Palm Springs, Palm Desert, all of those places. Anyway, somewhere out in that area, Indian Springs.
Desert Hot Springs, also known as Desert Hot Springs.
Okay, so the desert.
The desert.
for those of us who live by the beach, it's the desert. So Joan and I met and just like instantly hit it off. Instantly. You know how there are just some people that we meet and it's like, I've known this person for 1,000 lifetimes. Joan and I are like that. So we are both embodied angels, I suspect. So I brought Joan on today, and Joan's going to be talking about listening to our inner guidance system. And she's got tips and tricks and formulas, and it is by far our inner guide is our most powerful guide. So Joan, tell us a little bit about you.
God, that was so well said. Well, I actually have listened to my inner guidance my entire life, and that's led me to now become Joan of Angels. About 7 years ago, 2013, I was instructed to paint 33 angels in 30 days, thus launching my work as a channel, as a visionary, as an artist for painting divine beings and bringing messages for them, as is with that painting on this side. But that's kind of who I am. I've been a teacher for many years. I've been a chiropractor for 42 years. And so my motto this life has really been, I've known I'm here to heal and inspire millions of people and to remember who they are. And I actually have just shifted things for many people. And that's my mission this life, to help you remember who you are, why you're here, and what you're here to do. So I'm happy to be on your show.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. So was 2013 an awakening experience for you, or what was that? How did that happen?
So, in the course of human events, and I have to go back and do my numbers for that time, but I had left another relationship. I had actually gone to Arizona, studied researching UFOs and UFO crashes, and then I left and I came to LA. And when I got to LA, I went through, really crumbling and chaos, because I just didn't know what I was supposed to be doing in Los Angeles. And I moved into this house, Vaughn's house. It was a penthouse in North Hollywood. There was a woman there named Heather, and she was living there. And of course, I was penniless at this moment. She was living there, and she had just read my book. Now, my book was called The Miracle Makers Club: How to Live Your Soulful and Prosperous Life. This life, okay? Wherever you are. She's reading this book, and she had just said to the owner of the unit, I can't wait to meet this woman. And I walk in depressed beyond belief, okay? The woman who had written that book had just gone through, life and was down on her knees, literally. And she looked at me and she told me how disappointed she was in me, okay? That I wasn't the woman of the book. I can't believe I'm sharing this. I love Heather. She's one of the people I most love on the planet. And that just cut me to the core. I mean, and I knew that, all right? I had stopped talking about, I knew that. I crawled into a shell. But what happened after that was extraordinary, because I really was on my hands and knees asking for guidance. And I did. I got it in the form of Paint 33 Angels in 30 days. That was the end of 2013. And suddenly I had a mission and a vision, and they showed me that if I listened, and here's the caveat for everyone, if I listened and second part, followed the instruction, in other words, acted upon it reasonably, then they'd give me more information. And so that became a little game here. So I followed the instructions and then I learned more. Meanwhile, I had more art, and I began to do workshops helping people tune into listening to the angels, hearing them, feeling their messages. And I've never looked back. So yeah, it was pivotal.
Wow. So isn't it fascinating? And this is something I share fairly often with people, and your story is a perfect example of it, that the greatest breakthroughs come from those kinds of breakdowns.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because as humans, you know, we don't want to stop. We even if we know we're not on the right path, it's hard to stop. I mean, look at what, and yet the world stopped last year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The world stopped and we're still reeling from it because there's been a breakdown and a buildup. You know, really, we never as humans have had that opportunity before. And it is a breakdown. Yeah. So we are living in a breakdown, chaos time, in a sense, exactly what I was experiencing myself at that time. But the good news is that many of us, and like yourself, have really learned who we are through this, learned what our voice is. You know, my guides back last summer went like this. They've been talking to me since childhood. They knocked me on the head. I was feeling sorry for myself one day. It was like, well, Joan, do you know your name? And it was like, well, yeah, I'm having a discussion. Yes, Joan of Angels. And they said, well, you know that there's only one of you, right? Because I've been remarking that there's only one Joan of Angels right now. One. It's me. Like billions of people out there, there's only one of me. Really unique. And then they said, the caveat, they said, well, you know, if you don't, it wasn't a threat. It was more like, I'm here to live up to that. And if I don't live up to that, then there's others who will. And so that is such a reminder to each of us right now that one of the caveats of this is that you get to know who you are now, and you get to reveal it, and you get to be it, and you get to live it. Because if not, you know, the game for you is going to shift. That's all I can say. I want to fix this. I want it to be in balance. I'm never in balance. Like,
no, you know, I just give up and just let it hang.
That's so cute. I just love that. Yes, I should have just done that. It's a one shoulder thing. So that's my story. And that's really, you know, the name Joan of Angels is really just that. Joan means gift of God. God is gracious. And Corona means light, going viral. Your Victoria means victorious. And all I could see this morning before we started was this sword, Archangel sword, or it's a sword that can go through us and that can be our alignment center. So.
Yeah. And, you know, I had a very, very similar message as well about, you know, 10 years ago when I first started waking up, and that I am the only Victoria Reynolds spiritual teacher, oracle, luminary, you know. But again, if I didn't do it, somebody else would.
Yes.
Like, I was given this job to do, and if I don't do the job my soul chose for me, find somebody else to do it. So we have to decide at some point if we're going to step up and do the work we're here to do, because somebody else will do it instead. And I have actually seen that, where I didn't step up and do things that Spirit asked me to do, and somebody else did it.
Right. Oh my God.
Changed the name of my book. I thought to change the name of my book because somebody else got the name of my book, because I wasn't on it. I did not follow Spirit's guidance when I was asked to do things.
I can so relate to that, Victoria. Honestly, I went to several psychics over the last 10 years who said, you know, Joan, you were supposed to be famous, but you missed the boat. Several times you missed the boat. And then he looked at me. Well, he wanted $4,500 to make my dream come true. He looked at me, though. He said, there's still time. There's another window, you know, and there is this other window, because it's coming now,
Right.
when I understand what that truth is about and how precious it is. So I totally relate. Yes, we are told, and we're just told and informed, and then we have either we say yes or it's next. But the energy when we bypassed it for us is painful, because I
Right.
know, because then there's a little cloud that comes over and a little and depression in a certain way, because you could feel that vibratory shift kind of got stuck for a while. But that's part of the truth is, Victoria, it's really part of our learning. You
Hmm.
know, we may have been born with this particular mission, but it doesn't mean learning how to be Joan of Angels has been quite a unique experience. Not like I was born knowing anything about this. I was, but the truth is I was. But my conscious mind wasn't.
Right. And certainly the personality mind doesn't, you know.
Right, right, right.
We have to learn how to become what it is we came here to be.
And that's our life's journey.
Yeah.
So, and being a spiritual luminary or an oracle is no small thing. You know, it's a different energetic frequency, and it requires you and I both to really be fearless in our own, you know, really clearing away what clouds are thinking. We're
Right.
human. It happens, you know, it can happen all the time.
Well, and it's so frustrating. I admit it is frustrating. I'm like, really? The human experience is not, it's not the easiest, it's not the easiest of jobs. You know, there are easier embodiments, but we chose this one. And sometimes it's really frustrating because for me, I know that this physical form is capable of so much more. And so sometimes it's frustrating. It's like, I know what this physical body is capable of, and yet it's not, it's not doing what I want it to do.
Right. We're not teleporting, and I'm not sitting in your living room doing this interview with you on the beach.
Right.
So that would be my sign when we do this. You know, I had a psychic also, this really amazing being who he said, you know what, when the call went out in the galaxy that Earth was in trouble, we said yes. He said it wasn't about the hazard pay, by the way, or the vacation pay that we're going to get, but the call went out. Earth was the most dangerous place. It's going through its own transformation. And you and I and all of the people listening to this said yes. We came down here very specifically, at least my generation are the volunteers that already
Mm-hmm.
paved the way. And for the rest of you guys to now take the ball and be fearless. We came here to be those leaders and spiritual luminaries. We didn't actually come here to live a life in a shadow. And what amazes me is that even in 2013, when I was in my most despairing moment, didn't believe in myself, I would still walk in a room and people would want to know who I was, because they could see I had dimmed my light, but when you are who you are, people just wonder. They know it, they feel it, no matter what. You can't take that out of you, if that
Oh,
makes sense.
yeah. I get that all the time. And I always wondered what that was. I would be, you know, at 7-Eleven and people are staring at me like they think I'm a movie star or something. It's
Because they feel
fascinating.
your vibration,
Okay.
and they're feeling your auric field, your luminous, and they're also feeling your calling. When you and I and all of you guys, when we walk out, it's like we have an antenna, and this antenna is according to our vibratory field. Okay, you are a luminary, honey. What does a luminary do but be a lighthouse for the world? So you don't think you're a luminary just on the show and then you go to Starbucks and you've turned it off. You're walking into Starbucks with your light so high as an antenna and a wake up call, so that those beings, those humans out there, they may not even say much, they may just look at you. They have been awakened, they have been touched by the light, and a change is going to be activated just by that. When I was 23 or 4, I was initiated and ordained in the movement of spiritual awareness, and I was given this very weird ministry. It seemed weird to me, because everyone else had a ministry of you're going to teach, you're going to hold seminars, you're going to, heal the sick. No, I was to walk in a room. I didn't even have to speak. I was just to be me. So it's not amazing. It is what we're called to do, which is why it's so important when we even leave our house to have our frequency so high that we're not bombarded by the world, and that those who are ready to see and feel it will get it.
Got it.
We are leaders for that reason. We chose and they give us hazard duty pay for this, guys. And the job is done. I promise I have it on great authority.
Well, and we tended to have chosen difficult childhoods. Yeah. I mean, I remember as a little girl, I'm like, really? Why would I choose this? Now I understand. But those of us who came here as volunteers chose really difficult lives to work through so that we could help lead other people through.
Well, yeah, because it takes a lot of tenacity and resilience and courage to really become that leader. So think of our hard childhoods as our training. That was basic training, advanced training to do our work.
No, the word I'm hearing is boot camp.
It was boot camp. Yeah, I forgot. I was thinking there's a better word for it. Yeah, we had
that's what just came in. I love that.
But we've graduated, and now we are those visionary leaders. We are those ones who are speaking that truth. I feel fortunate because the voices that I hear within they guided me to become a chiropractor, moved to California to be here now, in a sense, and I believe that I am Joan of Angels this life, and probably other lives, and the thing I love, so I reveled in Joan of Arc as a kid. She was the only biography I really cared about. And one of the things that so amazed me was that she could go before the king and know that he wasn't the true king, that her intuition was so strong, that she was able to tell the village and the village priest, no, I must go. She believed in herself and her calling so much. I mean, can you imagine a 14-year-old girl in the Middle Ages telling her priest, I have to go to tell the king that I can help save the country?
Yeah, pretty amazing. And yeah, her energy has been very prevalent this year. Just, I think because she is, it is basically guiding a lot of these leaders to take up arms. So it's not the guns and swords physically, but it's Michael's sword of truth and taking up arms as in arm in arm. And that's what this new army of light is. It's not.
It is because there's so much darkness, and the dark can't exist in light, but there is so much darkness that it is up to us to raise our frequency so high that we light up thousands and thousands of souls around us. That's the assignment I take on when I walk out.
Yeah.
It's
I do too. And it's interesting just walking around the grocery store, people just smile at me, even with my mask on, because in California, actually I have guards in front of the grocery stores that don't let you in without a mask on. And even walking around with a mask on, people light up and smile at me for no reason.
Say that you're doing your work.
Yeah.
That because it's with the inner sight. You're doing your work. You're probably lighting up that supermarket.
I do set that intention to just walk through and light the place up.
And you know what? There's so many sad souls, so much confusion, so much fear. Can I touch you? Can I not? Will I get ill if I look at you? Across the room. Will your vibes
right?
Are you dangerous to me? So look at how we've been set against each other in that way.
Yeah, and the fear right now is palpable.
It is.
Family members are afraid of each other. Even in their own home, they're afraid of each other in a different way. It's different than being afraid of our family for domestic abuse situations. This is just being afraid to hug, being afraid to talk, so what it's requiring is for greater and greater and greater levels of love for those of us who know that we are love embodied to transmute that fear. So my quote that I have on my email, and that's kind of my quote, is to hold your light so high others can't help but see their own light.
Oh, well, see, that's exactly, and I hadn't even seen that quote, and here I am breaking it down for you. I agree. I just agree. Yeah. And I suppose mine is about listening to your inner guidance, and your truth will set you free, because the truth, the truth within.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're expecting to see the truth in any of the news or any of the TV or any of your friends, or you're not going to get the truth anywhere except when you see what resonates with you inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of call forth your own decisions from there, because people are agonizing over the vaccine. They're agonizing over whether they can see their sister. My sister lives in Fallbrook, and last time I went, my son and I had to we were allowed to take off our masks. We had to sit, apart,
Mm-hmm.
outside. We were allowed to use the bathroom. But, it's just so awkward. I love my sister. It's just so awkward. What do you mean I can't go in the kitchen? Or that's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that level of fear, it will melt away. Fear can't exist in the presence of love. We know that. Just like darkness can't exist in the presence of light. So the more that we are that, the more we spread love forward, the more we spread light forward, the darkness and the fear on the planet will dissipate. And now we have an entire, 10 years ago when I first had my spiritual awakening, it was just a few handfuls of us. Now there are millions of people all over the planet. There are armies of light workers now. So here's a question that I have. And I love you were talking about our inner voice. I call it, following our intuition. And that the word tuition means basically paying for learning, right? So intuition is our inner, actually, what's a chapter in my book? One of my books.
I love that.
About your inner teacher. We're paying tuition to our inner teacher. Why would we pay tuition to other people when we can pay it to ourselves?
Oh my God. I'm writing a book on intuition, so I love that. Oh, I've never even thought of that. You are paying yourself to learn.
Yeah. Why? So anyway, I love a good wordplay. Spirit loves playing with words. And intuition was one of those really good in the word alchemy word games that we play. And intuition is one of those that, yeah.
So what's your question?
So the question was, how people can recognize the difference between their inner truth and their personality self that wants to also be in charge of making decisions.
I love that question. So first of all, I'm going to say that the reason I actually call it that voice within is that I hear a voice. Okay. I hear a very distinct voice over here. I heard a voice that said, go to chiropractic school. And it was like, what? Go to chiropractic school. What? I enrolled that week. Okay. I've heard moved to San Francisco. What? I have heard this voice very clearly, and that is why I call it the voice within, which is one of the aspects of intuition, because we know intuition includes our sight, our senses, our smell, our gut. Okay, it all includes how we receive messages from the universe. Okay, so your logical mind may say, turn right at that corner, but your hair on your body, because your intuition is also a gut response, your hair on your arm is high, sky high, and your stomach is now knotted up and saying, don't. Do you listen to that voice that says it's all in your mind and it's safe? Or do you really listen to your body? So I want to get down to the gut reaction, because intuition is our greatest skill on the planet. It can save your life. It's what made the Indian natives great trackers until the American government cut their hair off. Okay. It's that sense we have that knows because we know because we know. Now, the reason many of you don't know that you know because you know is that you know it, but then the outside world tells you you're wrong. Okay? Your mother, your father, the media, the pharmaceutical company. Let's talk about just gut reactions to the vaccine. Okay? If your gut is screaming no, but the logical world says yes, then you're having that major disconnect, but it's not about you. It's because really there has to come a time when you learn that your inside is right. So in the beginning, and this is where the tuition is very expensive, we turn right because we don't trust that. We go, I'm just reacting. So we don't turn right. We turn right rather when our logical mind says, no, there's nothing wrong. So we go blindly and then we get zapped big time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole purpose of the cost of your tuition, by the way, is to kind of mentally wake you up so that you get to the point where you go, oh my God, when my stomach is in knots and my hair is standing up, I better listen. It's truth. And the truth is that right now in our society today, with where our world is, you have to listen to this every second. Every second. Now you need to, your body is an antenna. Your intuition is your antenna. Straight from the book I'm writing, but this is it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what you bring in from the world, and we need those clues now. We need to be able to recognize them so that we can discern if it's the voice of God. I picked up this deck I have called Rebel. It's like the psychic rebel, and I laughed because, yeah, sacred rebel. I guess I'm a sacred rebel. I have to get the truth inside of me. So I don't care if you tell me it's safe or you tell me everyone else is doing it or you're selfish or whatever anymore, because, you know, I've tried that. I have tried to accommodate my entire life. Number one accommodator. And I'm the one who gets sick. No one else gets sick. So the thing is that the cost of the intuition training is high. So I tell everyone to, and actually, if you're interested, they should really go and sign up on my email list, because I'm going to be relaunching my intuition training, and it's a ninja superpower training, because this is critical times. Okay, and critical times are demanding that we know. There's no cap in it. I'm sure Joan of Angels will show up.
Oh no, I just do it that way because it's easier for people.
I know.
To
Well, it looks better.
Yeah.
It looks much better than small caps. I do it now too. Okay, so does that make sense? So your inner truth is what your gut is telling you. And listen, okay, so 2013, no, it was 2012. I wasn't listening to my inner gut so much, honestly. I go to the accountant, the CPA, and he transmits my tax returns, thank God, because he gives me copies, my kids, 2 kids and I go to my car. I hear a voice that says, don't put them in the trunk, they're going to blow away. A really clear voice. I was like, well, holy moly, what are the odds of my trunk opening up, Joan, and the tax returns blowing away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course I did. I put them in the trunk. I did.
And they blew away?
And I'm stopped. I don't know what happened. I'm stopping, short stop, trunk opened. We're on a busy road. I cannot get out. By the time I can pull over, there's nothing. And a week later, I get a phone call from this man. He says, I work for the Los Angeles trash department, sanitation department. I found your daughter's tax returns. And he quoted off her tax ID number, her social security number. He did not return them. He said, I didn't find yours. So guys, keep a journal. It's a little notebook that says, my guidance said, call Victoria. And I didn't. What happened? Oh, I missed that big opportunity. I could have been on the radio.
Mm-hmm. I had that just a few weeks ago where I didn't listen. I was on spring break with my kids, and we were in Lake Tahoe, and we were trying to find snow actually because a lot of the snow had melted. And I was in my car and we were going to drive to another place on the lake to go up this gondola ride to the top of the mountain.
Oh.
And my voice said, call them first to make sure they're open.
Right.
And I did not.
Because it's so subtle.
It was a 3-hour drive to get there, and we got there and found out they were closed. So we ended up eating sandwiches in the car when we could have been on the lake somewhere, or could have any other number of things we could do. We spent the entire day in the car on spring break driving.
So I just want to point out that that's called intuition training.
Yes. And I'm like,
okay?
just
My training is intuitive. Listen to your inner voice.
and I have that all the time. And then afterwards I say, oh yeah, I did tell myself to do that, didn't I? And then I didn't. So we just need to get better at listening, because we hear, right? Hear the advice, but then actually acting upon it is the bigger issue. It's like because the voice of guidance is there, but then ego or something else gets in the way that we don't follow through on the guidance.
So that's our human mind. So you asked me, and the question was really differentiate your inner truth versus, like your personality. And the truth is that you will know when it's your inner truth.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Because
you can train yourself. Something happened yesterday. I can't remember exactly, but I found myself saying, well, you know from experience that A, B, C, and D happens when you do it that way. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. And so I didn't do it. I wish I could remember what it was. But I actually had that conversation in my mind, was like, well, and I realized that, oh my God, maybe I'm learning finally that when my voice says that, they could be right in a big way. And that's the life-saving component. Listen, intuition, all of those intuitive gifts, which includes clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clair empathy, all of that is underneath that intuition training, are your life-saving super ninja power skills that are in your toolkit to save your life and help you live your mission. If your mission is direct from source, as Victoria says, then you better believe that they've actually given you a toolkit. They didn't send you down completely naked, okay? They gave you a toolkit of skills. And part of our life lesson is to learn what they are and to unfold them. They're in our toolkit right here, and you can access them by first paying attention to them, like going, holy moly, because it is one of the most powerful tools that we have now, because honestly, there's no reference point, because what you read today is a lie tomorrow, and then it's possible the day, honestly, the only place you're going to have, now my daughter has a good BS detector. You have to have your intuition's also a good BS detector. You can train it to go, well, does this pass that test? Or is this more of the same?
Right. So one of the things that I've found is that our inner truth is loving 100% of the time, where the beliefs in our head tend to be fear-based. So you can start to listen to the difference, right? Because the directions from our inner guide are clear and specific and loving. Right. Our inner truth will never, ever, ever call us hurtful names or anyone else.
Right. And so sometimes, okay, it's really even a matter of recognizing that we're calling ourselves fat or ugly or stupid. Okay, because honestly, that's step one. It's a lower vibrational frequency, but it's one that one has to learn to recognize. You can recognize it by seeing it in others and kind of stopping it right there. Because truth is, I am beautiful. You are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I only want you to say you're beautiful. I don't want to hear the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really uncomfortable when we listen to other people beat themselves up.
Yeah.
Because we know that's not the truth. That there's an aspect of the personality self, the egoic self, that can be very mean, and that is and part of that. The reason I bring that up is for people to start to decipher the difference. That the truth will never say anything hurtful about us, and even about anyone else. That's what I think is difficult for people to begin to grasp. But that inner voice will always say, again, like you said, sometimes it's very simple commands: go here, do this, do that. And when it's feelings about ourselves and feelings about other people, being able to listen, is this the loving truth, or is this a fear-based belief in my head? And then also what I do, I try to remember to do, is to continually ask myself, what's best and what's next? What's best? What's next? And the instructions are quite clear when I stop and I get out of my head and I just ask. And sometimes the response is completely not what I expect. I'll be in the middle of writing something. I'll say, what's next? And my inner voice will say, go to the beach. That's not on my agenda for today, but that's what I'm being told to do. Right?
Yes. Yeah. So there's that, but when you listen, more is revealed. And,
right.
And it is really truth.
I know, and it's interesting that when we do listen, what I have found when I don't listen to my inner guidance, like with this trip that I went on a couple of weeks ago, I ended up wasting an entire day sitting in the car, or sometimes accidents happen, like things that could have been avoided if we would have listened.
Right.
And then I've also found when I follow that inner guidance that sometimes magic just shows up in the path.
Well, that's because that's what it is. When you're on that higher vibrational path, and I call it the miracle wave. And that's when, the synchronicities happen. The right people show up at the right time. Oh, you answered the phone when that person called to be on their show. You're right there. And, just like catching that wave. I have a way, I talk about this in my book, Miracle Makers Club, but I call people miracle allies and miracle busters. So in a sense, if one of the ways we talk about, how do we know when our family and friends are against what we're doing, say, there's a pattern. So looking for the pattern in your relationships. Does this person support my dreams? Or when I have my dreams and I go out and talk to them, are they the ones that are shooting me down? I mean, that's the first thing to ascertain in your family, friends. Who are your real true allies that support you in your soul growth and in your visions and in manifesting that? Because then you'll actually know who to share your dreams and visions with. Because you may feel perfectly aligned and on how you're going to do it, and then you walk out of your room and you mention it to your parent and they shoot you down. You walk back in your room feeling stupid, okay, which I've seen happen to a lot of people I know right now. They think they know it and they're getting clear, and then they walk out and someone slaps them a little bit and they go back in, put the blanket over their head. It's like, well, I won't have any independent thinking again for next life. That's a miracle buster in a sense. It's just to know that you have to really learn how to differentiate what's theirs and what's yours.
Mm-hmm.
But even that's very hard for people. That's why learning to trust this intuitive sense has been such a challenge. Facing those obstacles of subtle reinforcement of not listening.
Right. Well, and that's why, when it comes to starting a new direction in life, and as we talked about in the beginning of this episode, that 2020 has kind of created the breakdown before the breakthrough for humanity as a whole. And so how many people right now are in the process of trying to figure out what's next for them. And like you said, being very, very careful who they share that dream of an idea with,
Right.
and to only share it with people that can be completely supportive of that, because our family of origin aren't always the most supportive. Hold on to that dream until we can share it with our soul family who will uplift and support us, and being able to decipher who those individuals are.
Right. Right. It's like our soul is always wanting to pop up and go for the dream. And those around us are going, whoa, whoa, come back. Come back. Don't go there. Don't go there. So, yeah, so you find your miracle allies, especially in this time, in these times of transformation. Very, very important. And yeah, we are in the most amazing awakening. It could either be fearful or it could be exciting. But one has to be ready for the changes and has to be ready at a moment's notice for it's just really an alertness. I feel like I'm a walking antenna. I told Victoria that I would share this process that I use, and just a quick dive of it would be, imagine that you have from your crown chakra coming down this energy that's sort of, you can think of it even as a sword coming through, and it aligns perfectly in your spine. So for the first time in your life, you're going to have a perfectly aligned spine going through your spine and then right down into the center of the earth. And when you're perfectly aligned like that, you can clear your energy. You can run it. It's like it opens it up a little bit. So it could just run it real clear, send energy to all parts of your body, and their sense of balance and harmony. Now, it's not always easy to maintain that state, but it really is. From that state, you can see very clearly if all you need to do is discern if turning to the right, going straight, or turning to the left is for your highest good. Here's the question you need to ask at all times, and this will save your life. I call it the discernment scale, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being you are turned on and in alignment, 0 being you might as well be dead. Okay? And a scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, all right, how wise is it for me to go straight? Okay? Or left or right. Okay? You ask one question at a time and you will be told. You'll go, wait, but I was planning to go straight because the best restaurants are over there. Okay? Mm-hmm. But the voice says, or the discernment is actually saying, well, the left is better. You go, God, that's like quieter or whatever. And then you walk down and it's like you were saved from, like, there was a riot over there. Okay? You don't know. Ask to be shown what is for your highest good at every moment. And you will never go wrong. Okay? You will never, ever, ever go wrong. As long as you listen to what you heard and you don't try to second guess it because it doesn't make sense to your logical mind. Your logical mind didn't ask.
Oh, right. Like with the blowing away of the taxes, the logical mind will get in there, and which is what happened to me on spring break too.
Right.
My logical mind said, well, when you looked at the website this morning, they were open. But the intuition said, call them first, because they might not be.
Yeah.
But the logical mind overrode the intuition.
Yeah.
And then I paid for it later.
And and she paid for it. And but then you got a good insight story to tell us all. But I do think it's so funny. Tuition, the cost of not listening to this guidance right now, can be serious. And in all ways, because things are shifting. There's no normal anymore. So honestly, I really feel like it's time for everyone to be a super ninja, super skilled, intuitive ninja.
I like that. So you were saying earlier about discernment. What I've been saying for a couple of years is that we are past the information age. We are now in the age of discernment. And that has become even more obvious in the past year, because every person out there has the ability to speak their truth. Now, not as much, since a lot of been censored the last couple of months, but over the past few years, anybody can speak their truth online, which requires, or their beliefs or their BS or their hate or their love or anything. Anybody can say basically whatever they want on the internet. So this
Until
required,
recently.
well, until recently, even this required us to really learn how to use that discernment muscle, which is, it's part of our free will choice, is the ability to choose. What we're being asked now is to get really, really good at making conscious choices. And we've never really had to exercise that muscle before. Now
That's why I have that
we have to
discernment.
exercise that muscle.
Yeah, that's why I teach people that discernment tool, because how else? I thought it was a miracle when I discovered it, when I was shown it, because I need to see it clearly, and I'll either ask my pendulum or I'll use that scale, but I want to know. And usually I do follow that advice. And then, and when I don't, I'm actually consciously aware I'm not listening to my intuition.
Yeah.
So, and discernment is one of the things in our toolkit. Like, sit down, and this is what I tell our listeners: sit down and write out what's in your toolkit. Like, you're not unarmed here. You have plenty of tools here, spiritual tools that you can have. You just have to kind of get that kit together so you actually know what they are.
That's cool, because I never had the visual before of being born with our own toolkit, but it makes sense that nothing in the universe exists without everything that it needs to thrive.
Right. And if we took hazard duty pay to come down to Earth, okay, for this time, to share that light and just turn the planet into pure light, you don't think they sent us here unarmed, naked, completely, right? Like the powers that be, honestly, like and I pulled a card about that this morning. It was really clear. You are so protected. Yes, we are protected, and we have our own divine toolkit.
Oh, show them that card, because I think a lot of people who are watching this are going to really appreciate the two things that you said before we started broadcasting. That today is a one day, which is
Numerologically,
it's new beginnings. And then you pulled this. Do you still have the card on the top?
I do. So I told you, and look, it matches the painting that I had to run and get. Yes, and this card comes from Amazing Deck Earth Warrior Oracle. And when I read it, I was blown away, because it was about spiritual warfare, and completely about spiritual warfare, and knowing that you're completely protected. Okay, completely protected. So my message to all of us is, like, we chose to be here. These are the times we came here for. We came here for this, and you have everything you need, and you have teachers. You're finding teachers who are showing you the way, but you have a unique gift that's uniquely yours. We need it. We all need it. We are a spiritual army. I call, calling all angels, a brigade of angelic beings that are circling this planet, getting stronger and stronger on every circle. And I have chills as I say that. So my logical mind would say, well, she's talking about angelic beings circling the earth. I have chills as I say it, because I see it and I know this to be true.
Right. And the logical mind would try to say, she's nuts. There's no such thing. But we know that inside there are enough of us who know that's true, that we are an army of light. We chose to incarnate at this time specifically for that role.
Right.
And as you were saying, each one of us has our toolkit. So my spiritual tools might be a little bit different than yours or someone else's, but it doesn't mean that our tools are any less or any more valuable than anyone else's spiritual tools. We each came with our toolkit. Right. And a lot of people are just now getting their tools activated.
Right. And I couldn't use your tools unless they were meant for me, because they're aligned with, they're specific to each of us. And you know, I just had this glimpse, makes my heart sing, was that when I pulled that card, I guess that's what we're talking about today, where this is spiritual warfare, and you all have a toolkit, you know, and the price is your intuition training.
Right.
Yeah, you all have a toolkit, and this is the time to use it.
Yeah, and to not be afraid of it. So one of the things I found is that some people, when they start having their spiritual awakening and their gifts start being activated, they're afraid of their gifts. And I mean, I know from me, because of the very fundamentalist religion that I grew up in. But I think for some other people, it's from past life experience of when they did use their gifts, they got, strung up, beheaded, drowned.
It's so funny you should say that, because I was just thinking, should I mention to them that I've been told that this lifetime we will not be burned at the stake?
I was told the same thing. In this lifetime, I'm safe.
Oh my God, yes. And I'm sitting here going, should I just mention that? Or, that we have been told, all of you, even listening to this in Victoria, been told too, we will not be burned at the stake this lifetime. And I do a process with some, when I do my classes on, I call it the angel recovery zone, or the angel recovery spot, where we literally clean off your wings, because those past lives were rough. I admit it. We did not have, we didn't have, that was intuition training. That was very expensive, Victoria. I just want you to know. But we have it in our cell memory for sure.
Oh, I call it cellular memory.
Ooh.
So we have our past life traumas in our cellular memory, and that can be cleared. Just as our cellular memory can be healed, so can our cellular memory. And I've seen, I have a couple of friends who have a persecution complex because they've been persecuted so many other lifetimes. They're still carrying that complex now. And that needs to be cleared, because in this lifetime, we can clear all previous lifetimes' karmas and be free to do the work that we came here to be. And I think this was intentionally brought up because there are going to be a lot of people viewing this who have been afraid of the mission that their soul is calling them to do, afraid to speak their truth. A lot of people have throat chakra issues from past life traumas, and to really understand, like the card said that you pulled out, the spiritual warrior card, that says we are protected, and to own that it is safe to speak our truth and that we are protected this time. One, I think it's because there's so many of us, where before it was only a few of us here and there that were trying to speak our truth. Joan of Arc is a perfect example, having the courage to speak her truth, and then she was put to death for speaking her truth. And I actually have a couple of past life memories of being murdered for freeing people. My particular soul mission in every lifetime is about the freedom of humanity, which is why, again, the name of my channel is Fearless and Free TV. And I've been murdered in previous lifetimes for helping to free humanity from different situations. And that we now, in this lifetime, we're good. There's an entire army of us. It's not just a few of us here and there. Armies, millions of us, all across the planet. We're good.
It's good to know. It's good to know. It's given me a bit more courage. I'm one of those people that have had tremendous trouble in speaking out in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Not so individually, but really in a big way. And I really spent a lot of time this morning meditating on that before we even had the show, because I heard, and I only pulled the card right before, but before that I was hearing that something big is going to happen today. This is a big show for you to be doing. speaking your truth, honoring your voice, and really looking at all the times when I haven't,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding the fear. It's like having a cork in your throat. The fear of being tarred and feathered for your opinions, which has happened to a lot of people right now, also on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So this is a very divisive time to speak your truth.
Yeah, and what has been happening online, that the getting attacked, is also kind of building that resilience muscle. So I remember when I'm going to share this really quick. When my son, his first day of sixth grade, some eighth grader told me to go kill himself. And he was saying, Mom, this is middle school. And I said, you know what? I said, the one thing you will learn from middle school, you will learn resilience. And that's what we're learning now. Take the jabs. Sticks and stones may break our bones and words can never hurt us, kind of thing. Well, I mean, words do hurt. But when we understand that they're just words and we put on the armor, for some people it's the armor of truth. For me, it's the armor of love. They can send those negative words at me, and I just know that those are their projections of judgment. It has nothing to do with me,
And all to do with them.
and it's everything to do with them.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we're developing our resilience muscle, right along with the discernment muscle.
Yeah, and then tenacity. My mom used to tell me years ago, I'd go to speak at all the chiropractic seminars, and she'd say, well, Joan, I'd say, Mom, what should I talk about? And she'd say, well, talk to them about tenacity. And I'd go, well, why tenacity, Mom? She said, because you never give up.
Mm.
And, I'm 72, and I'm still living that same vision I had when I was 30 and before, and still have never given up. I could sometimes get lost, sometimes, sort of forget the way a little bit, for not as long anymore. Believe me, they kind of slap me pretty quick. But tenacity, not to give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even this too shall pass. And, we're in a really difficult period here in our country. And I keep looking, okay, I ask for the outcome for the highest good of all concerned. And I've had opportunities in the courtroom to win a major lawsuit. I won $7 million one year. I put angels in that courtroom. So around the judge, the jury, the opposing everyone, and the audience and the press, and won that trial and they sang the Hallelujah chorus. So actually I'd like everyone to place angels around our planet completely, and angels around those who are defending freedom, that we can and believe that what is for the highest good is going to emerge, and we will hear that Hallelujah chorus. That's what I heard when I won the award, and that's what I believe we're going to hear.
I do too. I can actually hear them right now. Hosts of angels singing hallelujah.
Oh my God, and that's why I said it.
The earth has been liberated.
So let's all hold together, Victoria. Oh my God, that's why I brought that painting out. Victorious and free, holding the sound of freedom, the sound that the truth shall be revealed, and that all is unfolding for the highest good of all concerned. And that Hallelujah chorus is those angels circling around the earth and spreading those seeds of miracles and blessings. Because each of us has that tenacity to remember who we are.
So be it.
Fearless and free with Victoria. Yes, I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's my job. That's what I here again. And it's interesting. Doing it this way is different than I've done in other lifetimes, where I was actually physically on the field rescuing people. This time it's about creating a space it's really spiritual freedom.
Also mass, you're dealing this lifetime with mass ascension,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to one-on-one. So I was shown on a ship, like energetically raising the vibratory frequency of everyone on the planet requires you to be there transmitting.
Right.
All of
Yeah,
us.
and it's interesting that you say about ship, because Spirit has called this our spaceship numerous times. On this,
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that spaceship word. Right then, I have an extraterrestrial being right there, and he said spaceship. It's just like the spaceship, Joan.
spaceship. Earth is a big spaceship, and we, every single one of us, holds the vibration for what is the greatest good of all concerned. So the higher we can hold our own vibration, the more we hold it for those who don't have the awareness of being able to do it for themselves.
Right. Right.
So we have to hold the whole world in our arms.
Yeah, no, we do. And send love to it every day. I bought myself a little globe, and I do. I just do a lot of work sending energetics. Let's just hear the holiday chorus. I heard it too, Victoria.
I did. I just heard it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you invited me to be on the show. I'm so happy that Steve brought us to meet. I thought that was such a treat.
Yeah, that was lovely. I'm looking forward to going out and spending some more quality time with you.
Perfect.
In the hot tub.
Yes, anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
Well, it is time to sign off. Unfortunately, we did have a couple of people who came to join us live. Kathy Mason says you both are beautiful.
Kathy,
yeah, we love Kathy. I keep telling her she needs to be on my show because, Kathy's amazing, and I feel like she's a global cheerleader for the light workers. She's just amazing.
I feel like you're amazing, Kathy. I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah.
You are brilliant.
Kathy is brilliant.
Plus, you are a great interviewer. Your shows are fantastic. That's to Kathy. It's also you.
I know.
I'm looking at myself.
I have Lisa says, hello, ladies. Michael Guardian says, so many people. That was back at the beginning. An individual named Michael Guardian, who I love the name that he has chosen, his avatar for himself. That's a great name. And yeah, that's who we have live. What I found interesting about StreamYard is that I can't see all of the comments across all the different platforms. So right now we're streaming across 8 different platforms. So when we hop off the show, we can go say hello to all of the people who are watching us on these various platforms. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Joan, for bringing your light to the planet and for all the work that you are doing. And for everyone who is a part of the Army of Light, thank you for the work that you are doing in helping to liberate humanity and all life on Earth from the darkness. Every single one of you play an invaluable role in this process. And again, and as always, until next time, get bold, be fearless, and live free.